Hello, dear people. You have probably never imagined that ancient customs are still preserved in modern Europe to this day. Let us get acquainted with the custom of the painted bride. The Pomaks, Bulgarian Muslims or Mohammedan Bulgarians, are a population whose native language is Bulgarian, but who practice the Muslim religion. They live throughout the Balkan Peninsula, in Bulgaria, Turkey, Greece, the Republic of Macedonia, Albania, and Kosovo. Pomaks possess Bulgarian Pomak, Turkish, Macedonian, and Albanian identities. They do not constitute a single unified community and have no common self-designation. They do not speak a single dialect, but use various local speech forms that vary according to their region of residence. In different Balkan countries and regions, different local external names are also used. Aryani, Apovci, Babkani, Boganci, Gadzili, Gorani, Dilsazi, Jupani or Jupsi, Mervatsi, Poganci, Podernatsi, Rupsi, Torbashi, Chekanci or Chekli, and others. In Bulgaria, Bulgarian-speaking Muslims are found in the Rhodope Mountains, in the regions of Smolyan, Karjali, Blagoevgrad, Haskovo, mainly in the Pazarjic area, and in the municipality of Zlatograd. There are also settlers from the municipalities of Smolyan, Zlatograd, Madan, and Rudozem in the Burgas and Razgrad regions. The total number of Muslims in Bulgaria who identified themselves as Bulgarians in the 2001 census was 131,531. Although Pomaks live in all Balkan countries, there are numerous similarities in their traditional customs and celebrations. One of these concerns the Pomak wedding, which is highly distinctive and unique to them. In a number of Pomak settlements, the tradition of the wedding ritual has remained intact, for example in the Rhodope village of Ribnovo. With minor differences, the same can be observed among the population of the Pomak villages in the Tetevan region. The custom of painting and decorating the bride is still practiced throughout the Balkan Peninsula today, although weddings are increasingly conducted in a modern fashion. In some places, the custom remains vibrant and continues to coexist with the modern world. During the so-called modern period, or contemporary era, traditions have gradually declined, yet the old wedding ritual still exists, though no longer as widely practiced. Traditional Pomak wedding in the village of Ribnovo. Ribnovo is a village in the Rhodope Mountains where the wedding ritual known as Jelina can still be seen today. It has survived despite the hardships of time and the poverty of its residents, who are often forced to seek seasonal work away from home. In the village, young girls are raised under extremely strict rules. Before marriage, their parents allow them to meet boys only between 500 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. and only in the village center. The girls walk along the main street while the boys watch them from the side. The locals call this gathering the movement, and it is precisely there that marriage arrangements are made. The wedding is one of the most significant Rhodope customs. Before getting married, the young couple may have a secret love, but they do not come close to one another until the day of the engagement. The engagement is held only on a Saturday evening. The groom's relatives bring gifts, coins, used as ornaments, scarves, rakia, candies, and go to the girl's house. Gifts such as headscarves, aprons, agalacs, and others are presented to the guests. On this evening, The wedding date is set. The engagement is conducted with great ceremony and is difficult to break off. Songs such as Sleeping Hero, At Least Wander Around Mother, Hey Ivan, and others are sung. Traditional circle dances and cheerful games are performed. During the engagement period, the young man is not allowed to attend gatherings or dances without his fiancée. Until the wedding day, the fiancé visits his fiancée's home, but an older member of the household is always present with them. On Thursday, before the wedding day, the groom's closest relatives go to collect the best man's bags from the bride's house, which symbolizes consent for the wedding to take place. The best men are given an oglak, a large ceremonial towel that serves as a distinctive symbol of the Rhodope wedding attendants. On Sunday morning, relatives and guests gather in the homes of both the bride and groom, enjoying refreshments and dancing traditional horo dances to lift their spirits. Among the most popular dances are Rado Mari Rado, Bayala Rado, Moli, Kimechu, Ismali, Replanetsada, and Rechenitsa Posame. Around 10 o'clock, the wedding party from the groom's side sets off toward the bride's house. There, they exchange gifts with the bride's relatives, special banitsas, bread, and other offerings. In the bride's home, the young woman is secluded among the gifts and her dowry, surrounded by her female friends who prepare the kozela, a painted spindle decorated, instead of wool, with a bouquet of colorful flowers and multicolored ribbons. This spindle is redeemed by the best men and remains with them until the end of the wedding. The bride's dowry is also ceremonially redeemed, and the procession then heads to the bride's house. After the wedding ceremony, everyone returns once again to the groom's home, with the godfather and godmother leading the bride. There, the mother-in-law offers the new bride bread and wine, followed by a young boy placed in her arms, so that her first child will be a son. The celebration continues late into the night. Songs are sung, dances are performed, including Zekata, the rabbit dance, Makata, the bear dance, and other festive games. The traditional clothing of Rhodope women belongs to the Sukman style of costume. Over the shirt they wear a valnenik, a garment similar to a Sukman, made of black or dark blue woolen cloth and richly embroidered with metallic thread and decorative braids. Over the valnenik they wear a merzan, a vest with sleeves. The front and sleeves of the vest are embroidered with metallic thread and edged with black or brown leather strips. The valnenik is fastened around the waist with a colorful sash 15-20 cm wide, in which red predominates and harmonizes with the headscarf and apron. The apron is tied over the sash so that the knot remains in front and slightly to the left. It is 405 cm longer than the valnenik. The pattern of Rhodope aprons is almost identical throughout the region, featuring predominantly yellow, orange, and brick red colors woven into square motifs. A breastpiece of white cloth is attached to the valnenik, and along its lower inner edge a white strip with fine lace is sewn. The shirt is made of white cloth and is almost entirely covered by the valnenik. On their heads women wear a wine red scarf, tied so that half of the forehead and almost all of the hair are covered. They wear colorful woolen socks, woolen slippers embroidered with metallic thread, and leather shoes. The wedding season usually takes place in winter, from December to March, when in the past the men were not away with their flocks, and today are not working abroad. Since time immemorial, the wedding has followed a traditional Pomak ritual in which the bride's face is painted white and decorated with sequins. The most memorable moment of the ceremony is the painting of the bride's face. This takes place on the second day. It is a deeply personal ritual attended only by female relatives. The bride's face is covered with a thick layer of white paint and then decorated with colorful sequins. A long red veil covers her hair. Her head is adorned with garlands, and silver threads veil her face. There is a legend explaining the origin of this ritual. In old times, the boys of the village became shepherds at a young age and accompanied their fathers into the mountains, not seeing young women until the day of their own wedding. Because of the boys' inexperience, the brides' faces were covered with sequins. As they removed them one by one, the young men were expected to learn tenderness and patience. Others connect the ritual to pagan times. What is particularly impressive is that weddings in Ribnovo are community events. The entire village attends and participates, and they are certainly not one-day affairs. Along the steep streets flutter colorful showers heading toward the first spectacle, the dowry. It is displayed on enormous wooden structures erected vertically beside the fence of the bride's house. It takes days to arrange. The newlyweds are provided for a lifetime an unimaginable quantity of blankets, covers, sheets, rugs, headscarves, aprons, socks, and countless other household items prepared by their parents. Purple, red, yellow, green, all colors are represented. Nearby, right on the street, an improvised living room, bedroom, and kitchen are displayed, complete with brand new washing machine, stove, television, sofa, armchairs, bed, audio equipment, and everything else a household might require. Abundance is mandatory. It is an unavoidable ceremony tied to family honor. Then, in the village square, a magnificent multi-layered horo dance forms to the wild sounds of zurnas and drums, until the bride appears with her face whitened, covered in sequins, and her eyes closed, a mask behind which a person must stand. She does not look around so as not to be bewitched by the evil eye. She and the groom stand hand in hand, motionless. Before them stands the village, watching them. Outside influences rarely reach Ribnovo, and young people seldom marry someone from outside the community. The accepted age by which girls are expected to marry is 22. The women of Ribnovo are in no hurry to embrace emancipation. During the 1960s, the communist authorities banned Muslim music at weddings and prohibited Pomaks from wearing their traditional clothing. In the 1980s, the entire Pomak wedding ritual was banned. After the fall of communism in 1989, the old rituals experienced a powerful revival among the Pomaks. Wedding among the Bulgarian Muslims of the Tatavan region, the ritual and festive calendar of the Bulgarian Muslims in the Tatavan Balkan area of the villages of Glogovo, Gradašnica, Galata, Babanci, and part of Kosovo is distinguished by specific features resulting from the layering and blending of different historical and cultural traditions. Pre-Christian, Christian, and Muslim. Today, part of the calendar ritual system survives only in the memories of informants, while the wedding remains a living ritual within family traditions, although it continues to evolve. The wedding in the villages of the Bulgarian Muslims begins with an engagement, announced no later than 1 year before the wedding. A formal agreement is reached between the parents of the future bride and groom, along with a ritual payment or symbolic purchase of the bride. If the answer is positive, in the Titevan region rifles are fired into the air and a feast is prepared. Guests receive gifts. According to our custom, women receive waist cords and socks, men receive shirts, scarves, and socks. The bride kisses the hand of every guest, and they give her money, whatever they wish. On the day before the wedding, the bride undergoes the ritual of writing, performed by a special woman known as the writer. See Pisachka. Besides the black henna used to darken the bride's hair and eyebrows, henna is also used to decorate her hands, while her face is adorned with sequins, else pullets, arranged in a specific pattern. This tradition among Bulgarian Muslims remained strong until the late 1980s, after which the writing ceased to be practiced. At the end of the 19th century, El Miletich reported this ritual practice. On Tuesday they paint the bride with ferak and sequins. They decorate her face. The eyebrows are painted black with galnut dye. For the Bulgarian Muslims of the village of Tisarovo, in the Blagoevgrad region, weddings in the past began on Monday evening with the application of hair dye and henna on the hands. The participation of the other women in the village in the wedding ritual was expressed through the application of henna, with different colors used for different age and social groups. For married women, for example, the color was black. The black color used on the bride's hair in the Titevan region carried a social meaning. It signified the transformation of a girl into a married woman, red being the distinguishing color of unmarried girls. She was expected to maintain this black hair for the rest of her life, and the color also protected her from strange eyes. Besides dyeing the hair, the evening before the wedding also involved applying henna to the bride's hands with Turkish henna, brought even from Turkey, after which she slept with it on, so that it would take better. The hands of all the women present were also decorated with henna, something practiced by wealthier families that could afford larger quantities. Among the Turkish population of Bulgaria, the K-Na Jasisi, Zihina night marks the beginning of the actual wedding celebration. The evening of the henna ceremony also includes the bride's hair braiding ritual. In the past, both unmarried girls and married women wore their hair in plitishki, thin, long braids numbering between 7 and 12, hanging down to the waist, until the 1960s, when preparing the bride for the wedding, her hair was styled into cut cocoons. One braid on each side of the face was unraveled. The hair was cut to ear length and tucked behind the ears. The actual writing of the bride takes place on the wedding day, but the special writer begins preparing the bride's face the evening before through a process called orktosvein. The bride's face is cleaned with a specially prepared mixture made of whipped egg whites and sugar. After cooling and thickening until it resembles a thick paste, the mixture is applied to the face. Once hardened, it is removed from the cheeks, forehead, and chin, and the face is washed with salt water. Within the village community, the women who perform this ritual are well known. The skill is usually passed from mother to daughter, although some women learn it through practice. On the wedding day, the bride's cleansed face is covered with cream and powder, creating a white base onto which the sequins are attached. After the face decoration is completed, scarves and head ornaments are added. The white foundation is important because otherwise the writing is not beautiful if it is not white. The sequins are attached using egg yolk, although some women use egg white. As it turns out, there is more than one pattern for decorating the bride's face because the wedding ritual traditionally took place over 2 consecutive days. The first day at the bride's parents' home, and the second at the groom's parents' home. Therefore, the face decoration was not repeated. Some women decorate the bride with a feather design on the first day and a wheel pattern on the second. On both evenings the bride removes the sequins, but the second evening is more important because she enters her first marital night with her husband bearing a clean, familiar face. According to tradition, the removal of the sequins should take place above the stove, accompanied by wishes for fertility, prosperity, and the continuation of the family line, a mandatory wedding attribute of the bride in the Tatavan region is a mirror used as a ritual object. It is decorated with linden branches and covered with a white cloth. The bride carries it with her throughout the wedding day. In northwestern Bulgaria, newlyweds look into a mirror together so that they may always remain united. They also walk across a piece of white cloth symbolizing water. A similar white cloth is placed when the bride enters her new home. Through this unique mask, the bride's face loses its individual features. Her age and gender are concealed in order to ensure a successful passage through the transitional state represented by marriage. The bride acquires an apparently frightening appearance and becomes impossible to recognize. She becomes invisible to the surrounding world. This is probably why the traditional veil gradually lost its original function of concealing the face. The red unfinished showers draped over the bride's shoulders have a similar meaning. The piece of red cloth brings it closer to the original purpose of the veil, also called a covering. The striking mask covers the face so completely that a veil becomes unnecessary. Older people do not recall painted brides ever wearing one. There is yet another possible interpretation. Marriage, as a rite of passage, symbolizes death, the temporary entry into the world of the dead, and rebirth into a new social status. The custom of painting brides among Bulgarian Muslims may therefore be connected with the archaic belief that the bride temporarily enters the realm of the dead. In this context, one should also mention the prohibition against the bride speaking or eating. Until the wedding is over, she neither eats nor drinks water and remains silent. Only in the evening does she speak and eat. The gradual disappearance of the painted bride tradition began in the early 1970s. The first bride to wear a white wedding dress in the village of Galata was the local midwife, whose wedding took place in 1975. The increasingly frequent use of white wedding dresses dates back only 15-20 years before that and became widespread after 1985-1986, when local women were forcibly prohibited by the authorities from wearing shalwars as their primary everyday and festive clothing. From that time onward, painted brides also disappeared. In 1989, after nearly 15 years of interruption, a painted bride was once again prepared according to the old custom. The Torbaches in Kosovo. A similar custom exists in the Kosovo village of Donje El Jabinja Dolno El Jabin, located in the Ar Mountains. There, in the same unique wedding tradition, women wear elaborate folk costumes, while the bride's face is painted in white, blue, red, and gold. Some refer to the local inhabitants as Kosovo Bosniaks, as well as Torbaches, and their language is a mixture of Serbian and Macedonian with Turkish words. However, a community of Bulgarian Muslims with similar customs also lives in the region. The Gorani or Garanci, another self-designation, is Nashensi or Nashensit. Our people are a small Pomak community living in the mountainous region of Gora, on the northern slopes of the Ar Mountains on both sides of the border between Albania and Kosovo, south of Kux and Prizren. Albanians call the population of Gora Gorand, Torbashig, or characterize them as Pottered. Traditionally, a Gorani wedding lasts 3 days, accompanied by zurnas and drums and beautiful wedding costumes, nashnit. The Gorani prefer to marry within their own community. During July and August, the Gorani villages in Kosovo resound with the beating of drums and the piercing sound of zurnas, and several weddings take place every day. The groom and his friends spend several hours walking through Dragash, falling into ecstasy from the drumming and the shrill sound of the zurnas. Near the groom's house, a traditional circle dance is performed, where the bride wears a white nashna. All the women are elegantly dressed in Gorani folk costumes and makeup. On the morning after the first wedding night, the bride goes to fetch water carrying 2 jugs. She pours water for her father-in-law, mother-in-law, and closest relatives to wash themselves. The ritual at the fountain marks the bride's change of social status and the completion of the first wedding night. She is dressed in 2 costumes worn one over the other. A women's dance is performed by the fountain, after which the wedding guests go to the newlywed's house, where the bride removes the black turlik and remains dressed in a beautiful red costume. She kisses the hands of her father-in-law and mother-in-law, who give her money. The bride also kisses the hands of other close relatives and neighbors. Today, mixed marriages are common, unlike in the recent past, when the Gorani married exclusively within their own village. Many young women attend universities, where they live according to modern urban standards. However, when they return to their native village, they put on the turlik headscarf before entering the village. In Kosovo, all women wear headscarves and traditional costumes. Restelica is the largest village in the Gora region of Prizren, situated high in the Ar Mountains. People there are not highly educated, and local youths often marry at the age of 15 to 16. In the village of Zlaj Potok, there is a unique custom called Digazambala, a day when men dress in women's clothing. Bachelors who have sweethearts wear women's garments as a sign that they already have a beloved Ziter Sevdap. Zurnas are played in the village center. In the past, a communal lunch was organized for the entire village. Among Muslims, contact between unmarried girls and young men is not allowed, and there are strict rules, so they communicate at night. The young man stands beneath the girl's balcony, a Balkan version of Shakespeare. The young man asks the girl for something intimate: a piece of clothing, a headscarf, an apron, a belt. If the girl sends one of her garments, it is a sign of her positive response. This custom has not changed over the years. It lets people know that the young man is already taken and has a sweetheart. At night, he walks through the village with drums, distributing bakshish eyes, gifts of butter and sugar. A bull or ram is purchased and prepared for competitions in which young men compete in stone throwing, running, and long jumping. Young men from neighboring villages would come to participate in the competitions and enjoy a free meal: soup, beans, stew, and semolina halva. Today, this old custom has disappeared. The wedding feast concludes with a communal prayer for prosperity and abundance. On the second floor of the house, the bride's dowry is carefully displayed. The bride no longer has sequins attached to her face. The women explain that this type of makeup existed only in earlier times. Modern weddings are said to be like DC Ambala. Without order, everything has changed. In the past, a special woman would apply makeup to brides, decorating their faces with beads and sequins. But this aesthetic has disappeared and can now only be seen in old photographs. Gorani brides wore beautiful head ornaments resembling crowns, their faces decorated with sequins, and their makeup resembling a mask. Torbesh villages in Macedonia. In the Torbesh Macedonian villages of Eri Ravnica and Dolno Malo, weddings are mostly modern. Muslim women here do not wear headscarves. Of the traditional Torbesh costume, once worn both daily and at weddings, very few elements remain compared to other Torbesh villages. Girls also visit the village cafes, something unheard of in neighboring Torbesh settlements. At modern weddings, brides wear long white dresses and veils. An orchestra usually plays in the village square, and the bride leads the dance. There are no zurnas or drums, and none of the women wear traditional noshni. The clothing of all women and girls seems to have been sewn by the same tailor. Identical bachalavchi aprons, without decorations, daler bavchalak, women's apron. The handmade bachalavshi has become stylized and resembles a uniform. Every apron is made of the same transparent white fabric. Only in Ravnica does the bachalavsha reach the knees. The dimi trousers from Turkish, more authentically called pantuli, also reach the knees and expose the legs. The impression of uniformity is reinforced by the identical women's vests and shirts. Today's weddings in Ravnica are far removed from traditional Torbesh customs. Modernization has absorbed many elements of the costume. The custom of parading the bride on horseback in an old-style costume is considered outdated and is performed merely as a formality. In daily life, women wear modern clothes. At weddings, they wear stylized versions of the former Torbesh costumes. The pantuli and bafchalo are locally manufactured, while original old costumes sell for around 400s, a shirt for 50, a bacha for 50, etc. The wedding lasts 3 days and is not as it once was. Brides are no longer painted with special makeup, nor are pula vels sequins attached to their faces. The tradition of the communal wedding feast remains, where pilaf or soup is served, along with halva. There are many cases of girls eloping with their beloved against their parents' wishes. In such cases, the wedding lasts only 1 day. Marriage is no longer restricted to the village itself. People marry from neighboring villages, such as Trebith, Tai, and Rostutha. There are also mixed marriages with Albanians. Islamized Macedonians are also known as Torbishas, Pomaks, Gorani, Rikanci, Drinkalci, Babushi, Kirki, and others. Or people. In Albania, a Gorani girl performs a traditional dance at a wedding in the village of Dragash, Kosovo. In the Kukiks Gora region of Albania, there are 9 villages inhabited by around 7,500 Gorani, who call themselves Nashensis, our people. The Gorani do not wish to be called Torbishas, although Albanians refer to them as such. In Albania's official statistics, the Nashensi do not exist as a separate minority. The Kukiks Gora region is difficult to access, especially during winter, when entire high mountain villages remain isolated from the lowlands for up to 3 months. The practice of decorating brides' faces among the Gorani continued until the 1960s and 1970s, but has since ceased. The engagement here is called Svarshanitsa and is carried out according to old rules with no possibility of reversal. In the village of Shishtavik, young people marry among themselves. Although most work abroad, when they return to their native villages during July and August, they find partners and fall in love. Bendisvat. Nearly 700 people from the village, young and old, work in England. The weddings are traditional, with pipes and drums, lasting 5 days. A true spectacle and joy for the entire village. A bride price is paid to the girl's family, usually around 2,000. The bride wears a traditional hand-sewn costume al-halishti, is decorated with henna, her face is painted and adorned with glitter, and she wears a small fez decorated with gold ducats, passed down from generation to generation. Tradition dictates that the bride must ride a horse. The Pomaks in Greece, the Pomaks in Evros, the Nashensi of the Greek Rhodope Mountains, marry for love, and marriage is not restricted to the community. They also marry Turks. Often girls elope with their beloved. If the young man is handsome, she runs away with him. An important criterion for choosing a good husband is that he be hardworking and, above all, not a gambler. He must not gamble. How will he run this household? If he gambles, there will be no money, no bread. If he gambles, kill him. The women say about such a man. Near the village of Rusas, Roshenler, there is a Bektashi take. While the surrounding villages are inhabited by Bulgarian-speaking Pomaks. The Bektashis and Kavs Olbash, Alevis, practice a mystical form of Islam that combines Shiite and pantheistic beliefs. In academic literature, it is described as a heterodox form of Islam, whose doctrines differ from Sunni Islam, and are characterized by religious syncretism in practice and lifestyle. Bektashis do not have mosques with minarets, drink wine, light candles, and consider women equal to men. They belong to Sufism, the ascetic and mystical branch of Islam that teaches the possibility of direct personal communion and union with God through inner mystical experience and ecstasy. The mountainous Rhodope region of western Thrace is densely populated by Pomaks. Around 30 villages are scattered across the southern Rhodopes, approximately 5 kilometers from the Bulgarian-Greek border. About 3,000 people live in the municipality of Organi. In the villages around Organi, Pomaks have held modern weddings for the past 10-20 years. In Xanthi they sing Pomak songs, while in Organi Turkish songs are performed, accompanied by drums and zurnas. Weddings usually last one day. This population is like an apple cut in half. Every village here in Greece has a twin village in Bulgaria. We differ from the villages in Greece and resemble the villages in Bulgaria more in language and customs. There is a road through the mountains leading to Bulgaria, says the mayor of Organi. In the village of Ismus, Yaskalan near Komotini, where around 5,000 Pomaks and Greeks live, weddings are celebrated with davels and zurnas playing Turkish music. Local brides wear Farija garments. Mixed marriages are common, Pomaks and Turks, Pomaks and Greeks. As in Bulgaria, many Nashency work in Western Europe and, when they return, build houses. Several decades ago, the Bulgarian folk song, Bella Sam, Bella, Unich, I am fair, O hero, was very popular among Greek Pomaks. The Bulgarian-speaking Muslims of Western Thrace lived for a long time in great isolation and far from modernization. In Komotini there are still Turkish women who wear headscarves. Pomak weddings take place only in July and August, when migrant workers return home. At weddings, songs are sung only in Greek and Turkish. Traditional weddings with old costumes are still held in Mustafchovo. Conclusion: in recent years, modernity has entered the homes of the Pomaks, a population scattered across many villages throughout the Balkan Peninsula. It is noteworthy that the socialist period in Bulgaria failed to uproot the Pomak wedding tradition, and after the changes of 1989, it was revived with great strength in the Rhodope village of Ribnovo. To a lesser extent, this also occurred in the Tetevan region and other Pomak settlements. Overall, however, the traditions are gradually losing ground and slowly fading away.